Another day, another vlog. Hey everyone, I'm Ella if you're new to my channel, and today I'm going to be telling a story that is all too true from my night that went from being heaven on earth to absolute hell on New Year's Eve when I got suspended from school and basically kicked out onto the streets. So yeah, if you want to hear how this all just went way downhill, just keep watching. So basically, if you don't know, I'm from Boston and I go to college in New York City. I go to Parsons, the new school for design, and I had been home for winter break for about 2 weeks when I decided that I wanted to go to New York for New Year's. And I was like, this is perfect. I have a free place to stay. Well, basically not free. I'm paying like $1,800 a month to live there, but like it's already paid for. I don't have to like buy a hotel room or anything. I'm gonna go back to New York for New Year's, and I'm gonna bring my friend Maud, who is also here with me, and she can also verify that this is all true. Yeah. And basically, we hatched up this foolproof plan that we were going to go to New York, and we didn't actually know what we were gonna do on New Year's, but we were gonna stay in the dorms, and we had food there, and like it just all like seemed to go together perfectly. So we get a ride to New York from Boston with my cousin JJ, and JJ, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You are our savior. You have been there for us through this whole mess. But basically we get a ride to New York with my cousin JJ, who lives in Brooklyn, and that way we didn't even have to pay for like a bus ride, you know, because he was already in Boston and he had to go home. And we get here and basically all of our friends were here. It was perfect. My friend Sammy was here with her friend from Florida, Ivy. I was here with Maud. Our friend Max signed in, my friend Stefan. So like we were just like a squad, like the whole squad rounded up in New York to rally for New Year's Eve, and it was perfect. And so our original plan was to go to Catch for the evening, and for those of you who don't know, Catch is like a really, really good seafood restaurant here in New York. They also have it in other places like LA, and around midnight, the rooftop kind of just turns into one big party, and it's like a nightclub. So our plan was to go to Catch for dinner with my promoter Cole, and I had got everyone basically verified to go, because when you're going out with a promoter, you usually have to like tell them and like show them who you're bringing so that they can like approve of them. It sounds really whack, and like it kind of is, but it's just their job. So I got everyone approved to go to Catch, and so we take an Uber XL to Catch, and Cole's not there because he's in Mexico. This guy goes to Mexico, you know, flies private, gets a mansion. If you know Cole, like it makes sense. But basically Cole's not there because he's in Mexico, so he's having his whole team do Catch that night instead of just him. And no one was there yet, so we kind of just were like, what do we do? So we get in line and we tell the guy at the door that we're with Cole, and that seems to all be fine until the bouncer decides that he wants to check our IDs, which obviously not all of us are 21. Me. But basically most of us get in except for a few of us, and I was just like, no, like we're not just gonna leave them there to be like, yeah, we're gonna go to Catch and you guys can stay out here. No, I'm not about that. So we were just like, you know what, screw Catch, we're not going. Like it's all or none, you know. So yeah, screw Catch, fuck bouncers. Like we're out. And so instead our friend Julia was like, hey, like I went to this Cuban bar restaurant thing down the street from here last night. It was really good, and they're open 24 hours, so I'm sure they're doing something for New Year's. So we decided to go there, and it was this place called Copelia. It's a 24-hour diner on 14th Street. If you live in New York, I highly recommend you go because the food was so good and the service was awesome, and just New Year's Eve there was really fun. We ended up spending like 2 hours there. We were there when the ball dropped. If you want to see like everything that happened that night, I'm gonna leave my New Year's Eve vlog down below, but it was just super fun. We had really good food, we had good company, and everyone who worked there was really nice. They gave us these grapes that we could eat as we like counted down till midnight, and we made a wish for each grape, and they gave us champagne, and it was just awesome. But basically we kind of got tired of being there and we had like another option, and so some of us went off and they went to Paul's Baby Grand at the Roxy Hotel, which is it's like a speakeasy or like nightclub. It's like somewhere in between. I've never actually been, so I don't know why I'm trying to explain it, but yeah, they wanted to go to more of like a club, so they went to Paul's Baby Grand, and the rest of us went to Public Hotel because we had a friend who was staying there, or two friends. Yeah, I never met them, but they're my friends now. So we went to their room at Public Hotel and it was just super chill. We just sat around and we talked and we got Instagram pictures because Public Hotel is super aesthetically pleasing, and it was just really fun. It was a good way to end the night, like kind of wind down before going home. But around 2:30 we were just all super tired, and I feel like you've probably caught this vibe already from what I've been saying, but we had like a very wholesome night. Like none of us were like drunk. Like the only thing we really had was like a glass of champagne to like celebrate, like to toast in like the new year. Like none of us were super drunk, none of us were on drugs. Like we had a very, very wholesome night of just like being with our friends, like spreading the love, spreading the positivity, and ringing in the new year. It was honestly the ideal night. And so this is why I'm really riled up at what happens next in this story. So we get an Uber XL back to my dorm, which is in the East Village, and like I said, we're all allowed to have one guest. But we get there, and so my friend Max Donahue, who had originally signed in Stefan, had gone back to the dorm earlier from Paul's Baby Grand, and for some reason had gotten in trouble with the RA in between the time that he had gotten back and we had gotten back, and basically was like, yeah, I'm no longer allowed to have guests. So I was like, cool, like what do I do about Stefan? Like you were supposed to sign him in. And I was like, it's fine, like we'll just get someone else to sign him in, it's not a big deal. Like there were other people staying in the dorms. But then I go like basically punch in my key card to like let them know that I lived there and then sign in Maud. And when I go to hand the security guard my ID and Maud's ID to sign us in, he goes, we have a situation. And I was like, what do you mean? Like what situation? And he was basically just like, so basically there was a situation in the room next to mine. Basically, I don't want to say the room number, but there was a situation in the room that was in my suite that's not my room, where my suite mates live, where a student was caught basically sneaking people into the dorms because, you know, we only are allowed to have one guest, and they got caught for sneaking in more than one guest. And apparently I reached out to the person and they were also caught with some marijuana, so that doesn't help the situation. Anyways, the security guard goes on to say that because of this situation that happened in my suite, the entire suite, as a collective group of people, are now suspended. And I was like, what do you mean suspended, sir? And he goes on to tell me that this means that we are no longer allowed to have guests at the dorm, period. And so I was like, great. Stefan doesn't have a place to stay. I don't have I do have a place to stay, but like I'm not gonna abandon him. Maud doesn't have a place to stay. We are screwed. And so I was like, whatever, we'll just do the same plan that we had for Stefan with Maud and Stefan. And so I go about reaching out to every single person I know who's living in the dorm, being like, hi, do you have a guest? Can you sign in my guest? And eventually I find two people that can sign them in. This is all the meanwhile we are sitting like in the lobby, like trying to get our asses together so that we don't have to sleep on the street. And so I finally find two people that can sign in, Maud and Stefan. And I'm like, it's fine, I'll see you in the morning. This really doesn't have to be a big deal. Like, we're gonna get through this. Until we go to sign them in, and the security guard and the RA are just like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'll go to my dorm and they'll go sleep in their respective dorms of their hosts. And he's just like, how do I know that they're not just gonna sneak into your room after you sign them in? And I was like, I promise they won't. Like, we're good people, sir. Like, I promise we're not breaking the rules. Like, I just don't want to be homeless for the night. And he was like, nope, you can't do that. And I was like, well, what do you recommend that we do? And the RA just looks at me in the face and goes, you can book a hotel. And I was like, it's literally 3 a.m. on New Year's Eve. What do you mean book a hotel in New York City? Like, that's not possible. And he was like, booking.com is pretty good. I'd recommend it. Like, no, sir, I'm 18 years old. I do not have $200 to $500 to pay for one night in a hotel room. Like, none of us have that kind of money. So I reach out to my suite mate, who has already, before now, been kicked out of the dorm for, you know, getting us into this mess. And she was like, yeah, I'm pissed. Like, I had to pay $200 for a hotel for me and my friends. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. I'm in the same situation. Like, can we come stay with you? And she was just like, yeah, actually, we're not allowed to have guests. So at this point, it's looking like we're gonna be homeless for the night. Looking like we're gonna sleep on the street. And we really don't know what to do. And I'm really angry at this point with my school, the security guards at my school, the RA of the building I live in, and just housing in general. Because how are you going to punish all of these students for one thing that one student did that isn't associated with us except for living in the room next door, you know? Like, how are you going to leave us homeless on New Year's Eve for something that we had nothing to do with, you know? So, yeah, that's basically that. And so what we decided to do was we all just started reaching out to people that we knew who lived in New York City that didn't live in the dorms. And eventually, we stumbled upon the blessing that is Maud's cousins. What are their names?
Rosie and Blair.
Rosie and Blair, if you're watching this, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. They literally took us in at 4 in the morning at this point. We had to Uber there. It cost so much money and took so long, but we got there, and just thank you for taking us in, because that way we did not have to sleep on the streets that night. And that is how we ended up not completely homeless. But yeah. And so that's pretty much where this story ends, because, you know, it's literally only been 48 hours, maybe less than that, since all of this went down. I asked the RA how long the suspension would last, and all he had to tell me was that it's until further notice. So no more guests for me, no more guests for anyone in my suite. We're being watched like hawks because they think we're horrible people, even though I was out all night long when this was going down. But it's fine. New school, what's up? Please let me go. I promise I'm a good person. I've given you literally so much clout through this YouTube channel. I'm sorry, but like, that's the only reason people are subscribed to me, is because I go to your school and I tell them good things about it. So yeah, get me out of this mess. We're currently staying at my cousin's apartment or house in Brooklyn, so we're living in the lap of luxury, as you can probably tell by my setup here. But yeah, that's really the end of this story. Like I said, it's not clickbait. Like, this is literally all true. I'm still trying to sort out this mess. So I appreciate your concern, you guys. I love you all so much, and that's really the end of this story. If you enjoyed, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you, hopefully, when I'm out of this mess. Okay, bye.